What we're going to be doing is relating something called the unit circle to those trig ratios we've looked at, and we're also going to develop an understanding of these special triangles, which we'll get to in a moment. So I want to talk about something called the unit circle here, and we're going to connect this to our studies of trigonometric ratios so far. So looking at this green arc, you can kind of see it here. Just picture this thing going around all the way around in a complete circle. A unit circle is a circle with a radius of 1. So for that imaginary circle going all the way around, you can see this blue arm from C to A. This is called your terminal arm. You can picture that sort of rotating all the way around the circle, always having a radius of 1. For this angle here, this is a 45-degree angle. This angle has been formed by rotating this terminal arm so that this point happens to make a right triangle with a 45-degree angle between this C point and the x-axis and this terminal arm. Okay, so you can see that 45-degree angle here. So this is the angle we're going to be referring to throughout this little investigation. Maybe you can follow along with your calculator, making sure you're in degree mode. If you just calculate these three trig ratios for that angle, you'll see that you get the following values. I've just rounded to 4 decimal points here. If you look at the measurement of CB, you should see that you get 0.7071. And interestingly enough, that value is also the sine of 45 as well as the cos of 45. For us, we're looking at the cos of 45. You can see that those two are the same. Yes, the sine of 45 is also the same as CB, but as it turns out, these two are deeply connected. Okay, so let's look at the measurement of AB as well. You'll see that that's also 0.7071, and the value of sine of 45 is also that same number. Again, the cos of 45 happens to also be 0.7071, but the relationship that we're investigating here is between this side and the sine of that angle. You might also notice the tan of 45 is 1. Well, the ratio of the sine to the cos of 45 happens to also be 1. And it turns out that's not a coincidence. If we take the ratio of sine to cos, you'll see that you get the tan of that angle. Okay, so that is not a coincidence. That's one of the conclusions that I wanted to form from this little investigation. So looking at this coordinate right here, this A coordinate, we know that the coordinates of that point right there must be an x value of 0.7071 as well as a y value of 0.7071. We could also write this, like I said, as cos of 45 comma sine of 45. If we make that connection between the cos of 45 and the measurement of that side, we know that that's going to be our x coordinate. Okay, so our 0.7071, remember this is going to be cos of 45. So this distance here, these two values are the same. That's going to be the distance from C to B, just like the distance from A to B is going to be the sine of 45. Any point on your unit circle can be written as cos of the angle, the sine of the angle. So that's your x, y coordinates. Using that conclusion and a unit circle, we're going to fill in this chart to calculate the sine and cos of these without a calculator. Okay, so I know your calculator will do this for you, but it's kind of important that you learn how to use this unit circle moving forward. So remember that our conclusion was any coordinate on this unit circle can be written as the cos of the angle formed by the terminal arm in the x-axis, comma, the sine of that angle. Okay, so that's our xy coordinates. So let's look at the sine of 0, for instance. The sine of 0, if my angle is 0, angle theta, so that's this angle right here. If I make this angle 0, it's pretty much going to be sitting on the x-axis, and you're going to see that the point happens to be right here. Okay, and the coordinates of this point would be, we know our x value is going to be 1 to get to this point, and we know that our y value would be 0. Okay, so if our y value is 0, and we're looking at the sine of 0, you can conclude that your sine of 0 is in fact 0. Same thing for cos. If we look at the x coordinate of that point, we can conclude that the x coordinate should be 1. We're working with cos comma sine for our xy coordinate, so we can conclude that the cos of 0 is 1. You can check both of these on your calculator. Let's move on to a 90-degree angle. Our terminal arm is at this position here. We've rotated up to 90 degrees. Okay, so the coordinates of this point, we now have an x value of 0. Okay, you can see that I'm moving along my x-axis to 0, and my y coordinate should be 1. I know it's 1 because remember the radius here is 1. This is a unit circle. So the height of this line here should be 1. Comparing this to my cos comma sine, you should be able to tell right away that the x value, your cos of 90 degrees, should be 0. The sine of 90 degrees will give you 1. That's your y coordinate. You can see that right here. If I just sort of keep rotating my terminal arm through so that I'm at 180 degrees now, so now I'm over in this position over here, the coordinates of this point would be -1, right? My terminal arm is 1, but I'm in the negative quadrant now, comma 0. Okay, comparing that to my cos comma sine, I know that the cos of this 180 degree angle that I've made should be -1, and the sine should be 0. And if I continue to 270 degrees using the same principle, you can see that I get -1 and 0. So it's just a neat way of using the unit circle to come up with these values without a calculator. Alright, so special triangles allow us to write trigonometric ratios of certain angles using exact side lengths instead of rounding. Exact meaning no decimals, so you'll see square root of 2, instead of writing 1.41, whatever the square root of 2 is, I just leave it as the square root of 2. Okay, so there's no rounding involved here. Now the way these things work, there's 2 of these special triangles. The way these work is that for any, for instance, 45, 45, 90 triangle, the idea is that these side lengths exist in the same proportions as a 1, 1, root 2 ratio. So if I were to increase this side by a factor of 2, you can just imagine if I multiplied this side by 2, likewise this side by 2, and the hypotenuse by 2, the idea is that the side lengths exist in the same ratio, right? So this is still root 2 times as big as this side and this side. And the same is true for this triangle, just with these values instead. So 1, root 3, and 2. So this one is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. This one is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So let's look at these angles and see if we can write exact ratios for the sine of these angles. Okay, so for instance, the sine of 45. In order to do this, we have to use our understanding of right angle trigonometry, and remember that the sine ratio tells us we have to look at the opposite side over the hypotenuse. And when we do that, you'll see that we end up with 1 over root 2. We don't round this, and we don't say that this is 0.7071. Our goal here is to write this as an exact answer, so 1 over root 2 will suffice for us. Okay, looking at the sine of 30, we've got to pop over to our other triangle, because we don't have a 30-degree angle in this triangle. But 30 degrees is one of those special angles. So if we look at the opposite over the hypotenuse, we know that we're going to end up with 1 over 2, and that's a nice exact answer. You could write that as 0.5 because that is an exact number. 1 over 2 is nice for our purposes. Same thing with 60 degrees. We're going to look at the opposite side over the hypotenuse to get root 3 over 2. And you can sort of just fill in this table just using these special triangles. Okay, so I want to explain this cast rule. This is something that you can use to determine the sine of a trig ratio for a given angle. When I say sine, I mean S-I-G-N, as in positive or negative, not sine as in opposite over hypotenuse. But this is very helpful for us as we start to write exact side lengths, working with exact side lengths to write sine, cos, and tan of angles. So pretty much what you do is you start in the 4th quadrant and you label that the C quadrant, and you work your way counterclockwise way around your axis. So you can see that spells cast. Now cast tells you where the trig ratios are positive. So if you happen to have a terminal arm that has rotated all the way around and has landed in the C quadrant, that tells you that only cos is positive here. So if your angle is the cos of, let's say, 275, we know that that's going to be a positive number. 275 is between 270 and 360, where our terminal arm begins at 0 again. Okay, likewise, if I happen to rotate my terminal arm through to, let's say, 160 degrees, and between 90 and 180, we know that only sine is positive there. So if I had the cos of 160, we would know that would be a negative number. Okay, so that's what these letters stand for. C is cos, S is sine, T is tan, A is all. So all are positive here, and you can check that on your calculator. If you take the sine, cos, or tan of any angle in between 0 and 90 degrees, it's going to be a positive number. Looking at the cos of 133, if we were to rotate our terminal arm to 133 degrees, which is approximately here, and we took the cos of that, see that we'd get a negative number, and that makes sense with our cast rule. Only sine is positive in this quadrant, so cos must be negative. So let's look at the tan of 230 degrees. Okay, the tan of 230 degrees, if we rotate our terminal arm, you'll see that we're in this quadrant here in between 180 and 270. Only tan is positive here, so that tells us that we have a positive value when we take the tan of 230. Cos of 170, lastly, if we rotate, we're in between 90 and 180, approximately here. Only sign is positive here, so we know that the cos of 170 will be a negative number. So how are the special triangles and the cast rule useful? Well, remember that special triangles allow us to write trig ratios of only certain angles, like 30, 45, and 60 in exact form. Well, we don't always have nice angles. So for instance, this is a 135 degree angle, and I want to write the exact value. It turns out we need to use what's called a reference angle, and we can use reference angles just by looking at the terminal arm and finding an angle that's between the x-axis and the terminal arm and compare that to the angle that we're looking at in other quadrants. It sounds confusing, but I'm going to go over an example that should clarify. So looking at 135 degrees, I'm going to just quickly plot that on my axis. If I rotate my terminal arm from the 0 position all the way around to this 135 degree angle, you can see that I end up with an angle like this. Well, 135 degrees is not a special angle. We don't have a triangle for that. But if you subtract from 180, you'll see that we end up with a 45 degree angle. And I end up making a right triangle in this quadrant. Well, what I can do is use what's called a reference angle. And I can just picture that if I had a 45 degree angle in this quadrant, I would be able to use my special triangle. And I'm going to do that here. I'm going to look at this special triangle, and I'm going to say, well, you know what? I know that the cos 45 degrees would be the adjacent, this side here, over the hypotenuse, 1 over root 2. So I know that the cos of 45 as an exact answer will be 1 over root 2. And since I'm using 45 degrees as my reference angle, I can use this value and just sort of use that for the cos of 135. So I can just say, I know that the cos of 135 is also going to be 1 over root 2. However, we have to be careful here because if we look at where 135 is located, we know that it's in the S quadrant and only sign is positive over here. So since only sign is positive, the cos of 135 must be a negative value. So we just put a negative sign in front of that exact value of 1 over root 2. Okay, so that's using reference angles, special triangles, and the cast rule to determine the sign and exact value of an angle that is not a special angle. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this video tutorial on special triangles. This is a big concept that you're going to be using throughout this trigonometric functions unit. Stay tuned for more trigonometric functions. Great, thanks for watching.